Hello, hi, it's Paul from SET English here. In this video, what I'm going to look at is something that's called referencing. Now, you might never have heard of this before, but I bet that you do it. The problem is that it gets used when we're not really thinking about it, and sometimes we can make mistakes relating to what this is. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about it and how it affects certain parts of OET. So before we get started, if you want to find out more about this, if you want to find out more about our training, then click below. There's a little link there that takes you to our free course. And also please like and subscribe if you'd like more content like this. All right, so let's go and talk about referencing. Okay, so let me just give you a very brief definition of what it is. Okay, referencing is the use of pronouns. Now, before you go further, pronouns could be he, she, it, this, that, these, those, okay? They are pronouns, and they are used to give information about a noun, okay, in a previously mentioned part of a text or an audio. All right. Now, I know that sounds a bit complicated, but let me give you a really obvious example and you'll say, oh, I know what that is. Okay. So my ankle is swollen. It has been hurting. So in the first sentence, we've said my ankle is swollen. And then in the second sentence, we have referred back using the word it. And of course, it means my ankle. Okay, so that's a really obvious and easy bit of referencing, okay? But let me show you how it gets used in OET in a lot of situations, okay? So, funding for community outreach programs, vaccine programs has dropped. This has resulted in a rise in infectious diseases. Okay, so where is the referencing there? Well, we've got a first sentence and a second sentence. Well, the referencing word is this, okay? Now, what does this mean? Remember in the previous one we had it and it meant my ankle. But in this case, what we've got is this referring to all of the previous sentence, the whole idea. Because if you think about it, it is a drop in funding for community outreach vaccine programs that has caused a rise in infectious diseases. So it gets a bit more complicated as you go through. And what I want to do is, I want to give a couple of examples of how this affects listening part C and reading part C, because it's used a lot in both areas. Okay, so let's go to my study document. So reading part C. Let's think about reading part C first. There's something we need to remember. If you've seen another of our videos where we talk about how reading part C works, you'll know this. And we do go into detail about it a bit more, but I'll give you a brief overview here. Remember that in reading part C, in each paragraph, ideas, or actually complex ideas, are constructed across multiple sentences. Okay? Complex ideas are constructed across multiple sentences. So in a paragraph, they have sentence 1, sentence 2, sentence 3, sentence 4, and they'll be talking about what's happened in what's happened in the previous sentences. So how do they do that? Well, they use referencing. All right? Let me give you some examples. Let's bring back this text here. Okay, let's have a look at this text. Okay, let me scroll up a little bit. Now, in this text, there are loads of examples of referencing. I'll pick some out. Okay, let's get our pen and we'll pick some out. Right, let's go through pregnancies that are complicated by suboptimal conditions in the womb, such as happens during preeclampsia or placental insufficiency, enforce physiological adaptations in the unborn child and placenta. Wow. Vocabulary is difficult there, isn't it? Okay. But now we've got this. While these adaptations Well, straight away you're thinking, well, what adaptations? It's referring back to these physiological adaptations that have just been mentioned in the previous sentence. Keep going. They are necessary to maintain viable pregnancy and sustain life before birth. They come at a cost. So in this question, not only have you got a lexical question, okay, where they're asking, well, what does this cost refer to? There's also some referencing. It's referring back again to this. All right. So what's happened is they've done this one where they've referred back, and then this one here is referring back to this one, and this is referring back to the original. Okay, keep going. The biological trade-off is reduced growth, and then you've got which, okay, which is a relative pronoun that relates to reduced growth. It may, okay, we can keep going. Overwhelming evidence in more than a dozen countries leading to birth weight. But you can see, can't we, that we've got a number of different times where referencing is used. Okay, keep going to the end. Overwhelming evidence in more than a dozen countries has linked development under adverse intrauterine conditions leading to low birth weight with increased rates in adulthood of coronary heart disease and its major risk factors: hypertension, atherosclerosis, and diabetes. Well, that's relating to coronary heart disease. So it gets used a lot, and you never know when it's going to be the that bit of understanding, that bit of referencing gives you the answer or not, but it always has an impact on comprehension. Okay, so we can see referencing is really, really an important aspect of reading. But how does it affect us in listening? Well, I'd like to show you that, because in listening, I think it does a couple of things, and same with it does with reading as well. We've got referencing in the question here. So look at the question. It says, what concern does Marcus have about what are called sectioned patients? Well, let me make this a bit bigger. Okay, so sectioned patients. So this question is asking us, what concern does he have about sectioned patients? Well, look at the answer options. The physical conditions under which they receive treatment. Okay, well, what's they? The lack of information about their experiences. The danger they are posed as perceived as posing to the wider community. Well, each one of these relates to sectioned patients. Each one. Now, I know that sometimes people make mistakes in these kinds of questions because they haven't seen what that referencing is referring to. It's an easy thing to do when you're under stress, when you're under pressure. Okay? So what else does it do? Well, here's an example of where it gives us an answer. Okay? So, look at the question. Marcus refers to the escape siren at Broadmoor Hospital in order to illustrate. Well, the first one is how impressive systems are needed to protect the public, how easily gossip and excitement can be provoked, and how anxiety about mental illness is intensified. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the escape siren. Okay, so why does he mention the escape siren? Is it to show how impressive systems are needed? Does it to show how easily gossip and excitement can be provoked? Or is it to show how anxiety about mental illness is intensified? Okay, well, let's have a look. Because of this, many people see institutions as prisons, and they're often surrounded by cameras and other high security devices. Well, that one relates over here to impressive systems, doesn't it? But that can't be the answer, because it doesn't relate to the siren. Okay, the next part says, Broadmoor Hospital in the UK even has an escape siren, which is tested weekly at 10 o'clock on Monday mornings. It's extremely loud, sounds similar to an air raid warning, and it's impossible to ignore. Okay, but look at the phrase that it says after that. This kind of thing, okay, referring to what came before, just fuels the fear and taboo surrounding psychological conditions. Okay, so we can see that this kind of thing intensifies anxiety. Okay, for anxiety, it says psychological conditions. For intensify, it's got fuels the fear. Okay, so we can see that this bit of referencing here, okay, refers back to this. And that's how we get our signpost. This is how we get our answer. Okay, so we're seeing in multiple areas of the exam, referencing is key. And the reason why is because referencing is ubiquitous in English, not just in OET. Okay, there's a really big aspect of OET, which is general English usage. And it's by experience, lots of reading, lots of listening, lots of watching, that we come to know the referencing really, really well. So my advice to you generally is be aware of referencing. If it's something that you're not aware of, then you should become aware of it. All right? And it's something that you can easily practice. Look at any text, any newspaper, any Part C, and find out where the referencing is. It might not be something that you think will definitely get you an answer immediately, though there are reference questions, obviously, in reading Part C, and it definitely helps with that. But it will help you to become a better comprehender, a better reader of texts, faster, more accurate. So go through texts, try and find examples of it, and be aware of it. And notice that whenever there are those answer options that have got the referencing, make sure you don't make mistakes with them. Okay, so as I said before, if you want to find out more about this, if you want to come and do this kind of analysis of texts, of language, and improve your OET and improve your comprehension, then come and find us. Okay, underneath there's a link that takes you to our free course, and please do like and subscribe if you enjoy this. Okay, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.